Welcome back to the video, and this video is basically a thank you and a salute to all the open source contributors. We'll be talking about a lot of robotic open source projects, both hardware and software, and let's get started. Let's start with our first open source project in robotics, that is TurtleBot. So TurtleBot is very famous when you start learning ROS, because that is one of the first project that you start learning ROS, which is robot operating systems with. And it's a very super old robot. It's named TurtleBot because it used to look like a turtle, and there are several iterations and versions that it has gone through. So here is the TurtleBot, the latest one, the TurtleBot 4, which recently got released. And you can also do like simulations and navigations. The hardware is open source. You can buy all the components that are there or build your own. And it's developed in collaboration of Open Robotics and ClearPath. And the best thing about Open Robotics is Open Robotics basically, you can say, like one of the founders of robot operating systems and the earliest contributors there. And ClearPath Robotics have named themselves as one of the leading research and development company in regards to robotics. It was started by college students as a startup, and now it's like a very big established company. So you can buy TurtleBot online with different distributors that's there. You can go to the website. I will put this into the description down below. So all the open source project that I'll be talking about, I'll basically share a GitHub link, the main link, where you'll find like awesome open source robots where you can test it out, run it, download it, build it yourself. So you don't have to worry about that. I'll just share the GitHub link down below. Here is the TurtleBot 3, the previous generation, which is Burger, Waffle and Waffle Pie. And as you can see, there a good history with TurtleBot, with the original TurtleBot, the TurtleBot 2 family, the 3 family and the 4, which is here, which is light, and the standard version. Moving forward, the next open source project I would like to talk about is one of my favorite. It's called the Thor, and it is one of the first 3D printed robotic arm projects. So there were several projects that were coming up with 3D printers being open source, which made a lot of difference altogether, and Thor became one of the first 3D printed robotic arm. And you can develop it on your own. The hardware is open source, the software is open source. You can build more on it, and it's a super cool robot. Here you can see this is how Thor basically looks like, and like the name, it's like super rugged. So here you can see different robots that people have developed on their own. Many people have contributed to this open source project and improved on them. The next project that I want to talk about is slightly different. The name is Mushir. It's just an acronym, but the full form is Multi-Agent System for Non-Holonomic Racing. So Mushir. Well, basically multi-agent robots mean there's like swarm of robots. This is one of the first platform that made it accessible for multiple robots to communicate with each other, connect with each other and start working together. It has open source hardware and software, works very well with ROS. So this was one of the reasons which made like multi-robots more accessible, and a lot of research improved because of multi-agent robots. The next open source project that I want to talk about is a rover. So this is JPL open source rover project. This is a scaled down version of a 6-wheeled robot designed to explore the surface of Mars. So this open source rover was designed entirely out of commercial off the shelf parts. It was meant for like a teaching experience, and many people have contributed to this particular project. And as you can see, like I have been showcasing different types of robots in this open source robot contributions. You can think of this as like a learning curve, like whichever robots fascinates you more and you want to try and build it or work on it, you can just select those categories of robots. So you have different type of robots doing different things. This is like a complete open source hardware and software project that you can run on Raspberry Pis. And as you can see, every detail is provided to you in the Git repository that's there. You can check it out. The link is anyway in the description down below. After this, there's another cool robot. When it became open source, it was revolutionary because this was one of the first of kind. This is Poppy. It is an open source humanoid robot. So it was a 3D printed robot, and this is an open source platform for creation, use and sharing of interactive 3D printed robots. So Poppy became one of the first humanoid robots to become open source. Then there was Torso and also Junior, which was a replica of what Pixar's lamp is. The next open source project is the Stanford Doggo. So people who are dog lovers will be finding this super funny and also cute at the same time. So this was a Stanford project of Doggo project, which is a 4-legged dog robot, very similar to like MIT Cheetah. So they have their own Git repository where they have provided all the details on the hardwares and the softwares used. You can build your own robotic dog, enjoy with it, play with it, research on it, develop more on it, and overall a super cool project. The last open source project that I want to discuss about is one of the simplest robots that's there, but super innovative idea. It's OpenBot. This open source project is basically turning your smartphone into a robot, and the whole general idea is your smartphone has all the sensors there. So there is a camera, there is the gyroscope, the IMU sensors, the magnetometer, the GPS, everything. So your phone has everything. So you're just converting that into a robot that goes around and you can control it. This is the whole general idea of this. There's a Git repository with the code given, and also you can 3D print most of the parts. This is one of the simplest yet super innovative open source project that's there. So what I have shown you today is different open source projects in robotics. So many of them were shown on GitHub with the open source code, and many of them even have like the open source hardware. So the combination of these two, and all of them literally are like the amazing projects you can do in robotics. The whole idea is, whether it is open source hardware, open source software, these are all very key for development and building something on top of a foundation that people have contributed to. So in this video, I would also like to thank all the contributors of open source in any way or form, or any project that you have contributed to, not just in robotics, but if you have contributed to any open source project and that is made available to people all over the world so that they can learn on, work on, improve on. Thank you so much. I am where I am today because of open source projects. I started my robotics journey using open source hardware itself, the very well known Arduino Uno, best friend for everyone who's starting in either robotics, electronics, and the community that is built around with open source is brilliant. So that's why I would like to thank everyone. And that's my take for the day. Peace.